We talk a lot about MOOC these days. I have a couple of things to comment on MOOC shortly. So the course I took with the University of Maryland, Baltimore County in US, it was an online program. I was at Trivandrum all the time when I took this course. It was maybe one of the earliest courses, and that course was run entirely in Blackboard. Blackboard is a LMS. We are today we have a almost equally efficient learning management system in which is an open source one, which is a Moodle, which we all the teachers of the University of Kerala recently had hands-on training in using it. So the this way back in 2010, that is 11 years from now ago, it was on Blackboard, and I found it was I was at that time taking a lot of interest in English language teaching. Well, I am though my basic qualifications have all been in literature. I have been working on English language teaching, so my relationship with the Department of Education is very much vital. I was this course, and in fact, I learned quite a lot. I got a lot of orientation from that course. I remember it was not a MOOC course. It was meant for a limited number of participants from across the world. My second experience was in 2012 when I did again another online. These online courses were paid courses. So the one I did in 2012 was run by the University of Oregon, and interestingly, they were not using any particular LMS. They were not using a specific learning management system. That was something that was an eye opener for me, which I actually tried to adapt and kind of convince my colleagues, and wherever I was doing workshops in the Regional Institute of Education, included Mysore, but I was trying to encourage people to experiment with this. So in the Oregon training, which was on teaching English to teenagers, content-wise, it was an amazing course, and I benefited quite a lot from that. And another interesting thing about that particular online course was that it was in 2012, and that was a year. It was April, May time, and the course was run no March, April time. The course was kind of spread over 3 months, March, April, May, and I was traveling extensively at that time. The course was hosted by the University of Oregon. The teacher was Sevilla. She was again stationed in Oregon, and I was in India when the course began, and I traveled out to Singapore, and I was doing part of my course there. I remember sitting in the hotel lobby because there was no Wi-Fi in my room, and where I was interacting with my teacher when there was weekly interaction with the teacher. And then I proceeded to Jakarta, which was not very far from Singapore, Indonesia. A part of the course was done there. Came back to India, to my home, and I worked there. And then I had to travel again, this time to another continent, that was in England. And then again, I was there for a week when part of the course was done in England. I remember I couldn't do the Skype sessions in England because the time was very odd at that, because the time zone issue. Came back to India and completed the course. So that is a very typical example for the flexibility offered by an online course. And content-wise, that was a course that gave me a lot of orientation about teaching young adults. And many of the programs that I devised after that related to English teaching, particularly for the Saksharata mission, have all drawn much on that course. It was the first time that I was kind of aware. I became, because I did not have a B.Ed background, education background. The first time that I came to be aware of, at least consciously aware of concepts like learner differences and different ways in which people perceive and understand, the way cognition is not the same with everyone, etc. All those basic things that I learned at that time. So content-wise, it was important, and this experience of learning across continents while traveling, and it made no difference in the pace at which the learning happened. So that was a very good example for, and again, it was not a MOOC course, it was an online course. And I was saying that it is peculiar because the people who put together the course were using simple tools for managing the learners. So I think the participants were numbered around 60 from different parts of the world. And what they were doing is they had arranged all the curriculum, the syllabi, the material for reading, everything in Google, in a Google site. Very basic, simple. A Google site is there, which gives you the schedule and tells you what to do each week and which document to access, or which movie to watch, or which song to listen to. All those things were put in the Google document. At the same time, there was this Dropbox, which I learned, which my teacher Sylvia created at that time for us, a Dropbox account, which I still use. And there's the folder named Sylvia is still there. I have kept it for my affection for my teacher. And that the cloud-based Dropbox, I came to know first at that time, and I still use it very much. Dropbox is something I find very, very convenient in keeping my stuff in a cloud and use it wherever I am. So, well, in fact, the idea of the program was not to teach you about Dropbox. Dropbox was one tool they used for managing this online course. So, Google site is there. Dropbox is there where you share resources, and again, you create audio recordings and all stuff and keep in the Dropbox folder. Another thing they were using, and for the actual interface, they were using Skype. So we had Skype sessions where the teacher would meet us every week, I remember. And again, the video, we were not using video because of bandwidth issues. And this was approximately 10 years back, and 9 years back. And the bandwidth was not what it still now is. So, anyway, I'm saying that we were using a free available stuff like Google site, Google, email transaction was there, and this Dropbox was there, and we were also using Skype sessions. But later on, of course, we became aware of Moodle, and trainings came. And in 2015, I remember I attempted a Moodle course for my colleagues here in Trivandrum, and there was one participant from Singapore in that, based on the university's facility, which was being experimented at that time, 2015, where I developed an online course on the university Moodle facility, and did an experiment with it, which still I carry many valuable information based on that. So this is about the online experience that I have. And and about MOOC, comment I'd like to make is we even in the university, we totally, I am also supposed to be a part of a committee which is to encourage teachers to develop MOOC courses. But the problem is we need to have this clarity. I'm happy that the title of the present workshop doesn't contain the word MOOC in it. It is virtual learning environment, which is a good idea, because MOOC is massive open online courses. Let us talk about getting skilled, or as Bin rightly pointed out, let us get adept in developing, managing, and using online courses as such first, maybe meant for shorter groups. And once we have mastered that, then we'll talk about running huge courses. I'm particularly talking about our university. Now, we are all poised to have MOOC programs, but when we consider all the teachers in mind, when we think in terms of empowering all the teachers, we still at least 1 year more of experimentation with running online courses. That is why teachers have been asked to create, convert the courses that they do in the actual in the actual programs into the online mode, so that they can experiment with that and learn the hitches. And one important thing is that you don't learn to use a learning management system. Many people still have this problem with technology, feeling that this is all complex, difficult things. These are not. ICT has an aura of difficulty, but once you start using it, you learn. You learn by using it. You don't actually need a whole course to tell you how to develop an online course. You have the basics, and you work out. You try it on your own, and you learn. That is how you learn to do an online course, also to develop and run an online course. So leaving around this massiveness, which is daunting, and openness, which is rather ambiguous these days. Let us talk about online courses, running online courses. So I think the present program, even though the term MOOC seems to repeat in the 7 days work, I think the focus will primarily on how to run an online course, how to develop an online course, and how to make it engaging, how to keep the dropout rates to the minimum, and all that. And looking briefly at the history of MOOC, or online courses, the online MOOC is addressing large numbers. And my most recent experience with an interesting experience with MOOC is there is a program I'm involved in, funded by US Embassy, and it is the fund comes from via Chennai, and there is 50 students are availing that in Trivandrum, also in a college in Trivandrum. So I am kind of academically, I support that with training to the teachers and overall supervision, etc. Totally informally. It's not a paid thing. So what happens is, then I was informed there was some money, quite considerable amount, which should have gone into the students' welfare, and we did not spend it because of the pandemic. So there was no actual classes, and they did not have to give refreshments to students. They did not have to take them out on tour, etc. A lot of money was saved up, and something would need to be done. And I suggested that why don't we give them access to some online courses. And see, there are, all of us know that there are huge repositories of online courses, massive ones, run by agencies like the edX, EDEX, and Coursera, and stuff like that. In India, we have certainly Swayam platform and other platforms, which we are growing. And there is a much felt need to develop solid online courses within in India, because we we respond more when we have teachers from our cultural background. Well, that's another story. So I was talking about the recent experience with massive online course, where I thought that we'll spend this money entirely to giving access to select students to what shall we say, online program. And in edX, there was a course called How to Write an Essay, and all these courses offered by edX and by Coursera and many other agencies are free, in the sense the knowledge is absolutely free. The content is there. You can access it, and you can work on it, and you need not submit assignments if you don't want to, and you need not complete it, but you have the freedom to use that material. But if you want a certificate, then you need to do all the assignments and submit your final project or whatever, and you need to make a payment if you want to get a certificate. So the certification, some courses are charged for the certification. And don't think that all MOOC courses are free. The open doesn't always suggest free. Many MOOC courses are paid, and some MOOC courses will charge you for the certificate. Maybe eventually the charges might be more. I do not know. Anyway, even if it is worth doing. Anyway, the point was that this edX course, so 3,500 was the fee for a student, per student, and nobody was willing to risk that money, because you need to pay that using your credit card and then see if it works. So what I did was I volunteered to do that. I said, I'll pay using my credit card to 50 students, and you give me the money after the thing is in place. And we did that. And I went and explored in edX, and we found that we can 550 coupons. Rather than enroll 50 students and pay 50 times, you get 50 coupons. That's in the form of an URL. See, you get 50 unique URLs, and which you give to the students. So it worked very well. Interestingly, the payment came to 3,500 into 50 plus tax and stuff like that. And thankfully the money was refunded to me in time. I was a bit anxious about that, but that was not a problem. But one problem that happened was that none of these coupons could be used, because by the time the agency handed over this to the students, etc., the course had already begun. The whole 50 coupons became totally useless, because none of the students could log in. Only one student who was very eager logged in on time and could start the course. So what happened was, I wrote to edX all the details, and they most generously sent 50 fresh coupons And now for the next course, so it is beginning only in March first, and all these students have very promptly used these coupons and they have enrolled. Well, what the point I'm trying to make is these are things that we are actually doing these days. The massive online courses are very much a part of life, and every student, every teacher have this wonderful opportunity of exploring courses online and doing them. Even if you don't need a certificate, or if you don't want to pay for it, some certification can be very expensive. You don't have to pay, but you don't always need a certificate. The knowledge that you gain is fantastic. So I would strongly recommend that everybody do an online course, at least 2 online courses every year. It will make your life much richer, and it will also add to your biodata. Well, that's about massive courses and about our online courses here. And yeah, and about and another thing is that this KU Padashala, that it's a new thing, and teachers are a little. We had a couple of meetings, and teachers are still confused about what is happening. Actually, my idea, it was this was based on an experiment we did in the School of Business Education. And MOOC courses and online courses of accommodating large number of students is actually is a development that happened in the developmental process of open online teaching in the distance mode. And when we needed to reach out to students who are out the world even, and who cannot come to your college, then we need to reach out to them. And that is how these courses began. When you can teach, watch the teacher online, or you can look at your teacher teaching, or listen to your teacher teaching in a video that he has made for you. So that is an experiment we did, was that we were developing a repository of videos for my institution, that is School of Distance Education, based on the syllabus. We have different core programs and multidisciplinary program. It's a multidisciplinary department, and we have different programs. We have history program, sociology, so mathematics, computer science. So we were thinking of developing short videos, maximum half an hour, for our students. So we were doing that, and we named it SDE Padashala, which was very successful, which has now users, in fact, across the world. Well, you don't get 1,500 hits every half an hour, because it's an educational thing. But so going by an educational site, I think it's being used considerably by people. And another thing, what happened with us is that during the lockdown, when we suddenly found it very extremely difficult to give classes to our students, and our students are out there in large numbers, and we did not even know them, because English MA alone has more than 600 students. So talking as an English teacher now. But then, so what we did was, we tried to develop videos at home using OBS Studio and Open Short Video Editor, etc. We were developing videos at home, and as far as English is concerned, what I did was, as the coordinator of the MA program, the fourth semester, the whole of the fourth semester, and much of the third semester, we have converted into video lectures. So each course having, say, 7, 8, or 10 videos, through which the students can have a reasonably good idea of the courses, about what they have to learn. So this is much better than actual contact classes, which is an one-off thing, where the students can either come and attend, and if they are late, they miss the class. Here it is there, the video is there. So that is what we were doing. So it was the pro vice chancellor who suggested that, why don't you make it larger? Why don't you do something like this for the university? And that is how the KU Padashala idea came up. And in KU Padashala, we are partly we have the responsibility also to encourage teachers and students to develop and be part of online courses, leading ultimately or parallelly to massive open online courses as well. But I have personally, I have this secret agenda in my mind of having a good collection of videos which will repeatedly give information to the learners. I'll tell you about one massive open online resource. It's run by an agency called the what's it called, the teaching company in USA. The name of the course is Great Courses. If you Google, you'll get Great Courses is a website. run by the teaching company. And it is totally paid. It's not free. It's totally paid. But still, the beauty of the program is I found it extremely good because it's a series of lectures. For example, if you want to do a course on communication, you have say 30 lectures on that, and they are audio lectures. In some courses will have video lectures also. So you have those 40 lectures. If graphic kind of intervention is useful, some lectures they have video lectures also. Sometimes you have video and audio for the same. You can use according to your bandwidth and the gadget you are using. And I personally have been using a lot of audio stuff from the teaching company. I found it extremely useful because this is something you don't need to log in anywhere. Once you have these videos or the audio stuff, you can listen to it in your mobile phone when you're driving or when you're waiting for the bus or when you're traveling inside a bus or train. You have your personal listening device and you can have your course. It's all audio. And even if and I have a little problem with reading, so that makes it much more valuable for me, because I rely a lot on what I listen. So it was my fascination for this, that I thought it was not just a fascination. From our experiment with the School of Distance Education, it proved that students were benefited a lot from the video stuff, which is primarily audio with visuals. The teacher was often not seen, which based on slides, and they found it extremely useful. So I have this agenda of having courses which rely more on video and audio component in it. So so by KU Padashala, I would more look for videos which be standalone ones or strings of videos which which if we put in some effort, we can develop, and it will be extremely useful for our learners. So these are all loose ideas that I have been sharing. So in the course of the next, including today, we are going to have 5, 6, 7 days of work. And I wish you all the very best in that. And I wish you will be learning, to be confident users. So one little inhibition that we need to break is, as teachers, we often have this feeling that this is something difficult. Much of our teachers, all the teachers in the University of Kerala had a thorough orientation program lasting, I forgot the number of days, quite a sufficient duration we had, and still people believe that we need more orientation. So you don't actually need that. It's a difficulty that we all had when we started using computers, say 20 years back. When we had this MS Office, there were people who went for courses to learn MS Office. They still feel they haven't studied it. It's because the MS Office will have thousands of possibilities. You don't actually need all of that. You will just need the stuff that is enough to create your requirement. The maximum thing you will be doing is to type out your dissertation in it. So and in the MS Office suite, you will be using mostly the MS Word, and you'll be using the PowerPoint, mostly Excel to some extent. So in the same way, you have a huge learner management system called Moodle, and you don't have to learn all the intricacies. You just need to have the routine in knowledge of how to work, create a course in it, how to put content in it, how to make it more meaningful, how to make it engaging by adding in other add-ons like Padlet and Kahoot and stuff like that, which I'm sure you'll be discussing in the course of the program. So I would like to make this statement that this is not difficult. Don't get this idea of things being difficult out of your mind. Once you start doing it, you get used to it. It's inevitable. Technology is something we have to live with, and it is a great blessing and a big convenience to you. So with those words, I think I have kind of covered all the stuff that I wanted to say. And I once again thank the organizers for inviting me. Thank you, everybody.